Oh, hello! You caught me in the middle of a folding session. You see, I just did my laundry. And you know what that means? It is time to do some folding. So let's get started, shall we? And while I do my folding, I will talk about my day. Because that's what this whole channel's really all about, right? Okay, let's take it from the top. What happened today? Hmm, that's a really good question. Well, from what I can remember, I woke up at around, I would say, 8 o'clock. I had the day off today, but I do go to work for the next 8 days. So that's going to be pretty crazy. So I was, really groggy, really sleepy, and really dehydrated. So I needed some water. So I got some water from the fridge in the kitchen. But afterwards, my mom was extremely eager to tell me all about her plans for upending our guest room so we can have it as a nice, rentable back room in the future. One of her goals was to completely rip a sliding door that was installed back there for as long as I can remember out, so that way we could put drywall over that area. And then, well, after the drywall, we could put a little kitchenette on the side of the wall for the person who will eventually be renting that room out. So she wanted me involved in the process, and she wanted me involved by basically having me throw away um, chunks of the sliding door wood that she was ripping out of the wall. And so I did just that. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I didn't really want to do any of it, but it's her house, and it's also, as she told me, it's my responsibility to help out around the house. So of course I must do what must be done, whether I like it or not. And not only that, helping out does increase the value of the place you live at because you're chipping in too. So, yes, it's a responsibility that must be maintained. Now, after we ripped those chunks of wood out, it was time to, if I'm remembering correctly, greet our family friend who had returned from a grocery store run. And she brought these 0-calorie root beers of the mug variety because the A&W ones were not available. Now, I'm always willing to try new things. So I was like, of course, let's give these mugs a chance. What could be the worst thing that could happen? Well, we put these mugs in the refrigerator and then we let them sit there to get cool while we were doing our chores, which for me included crushing recyclables and putting them away in the back of our house, or I guess the front of the house, um, and mowing the lawn. And afterwards, it was time for a delicious tuna sandwich lunch. Now, after and to enjoy this lunch, we had the bug root beer. Me and my mom did, and I have to say, not a fan. In my opinion, those mug root beers were just too bland. They didn't have any sort of root beery flavor to them, if that makes any sense. They were just kind of like something that exists. I was left thoroughly unimpressed by this product. It did not enchant me whatsoever, and I will not be purchasing it if I were given the choice. So that was a major bummer. 100%. But hey, that comes with the territory of trying new things. Sometimes you might find something you never knew you would have liked if you didn't step out of your comfort zone. And then other times, well, you just end up finding something you don't like. And that's what happened. It was a shame. Oh well. But to help minimize that very disappointing root beer, we were watching a brand new rocket launch from, I believe, SpaceX, because I'm always interested in anything having to do with space travel. And I would say that overall, this was a fairly interesting take on space travel. Apparently, it was being done to improve our this thing called Starlink, which are like internet in the form of is like internet in the form of a satellite that helps get internet out to more remote parts of the world, which is pretty interesting and a pretty cool idea, I would say. Um, but apparently, like the rocket was intentionally damaged, so that way they could test how it might explode in future missions, so they can do the necessary safety precautions to ensure that doesn't happen for future launches. Pretty interesting way to test a future launch, I would say. I mean, shouldn't you deal with that stuff right off the bat? Why do you need to destroy millions of dollars worth of equipment just to prove a point? Seems kind of odd to me, but I don't make the rules. That was pretty interesting. After we were done watching that, um, my mom needed help removing our old washer and dryer from the back of the house so we could install the brand new washer and dryer, which costed a pretty penny, but in all honesty, it wasn't actually that bad of a pretty penny. For we were installing the stackable washer and dryer LG combo. And what made it quite not as much of a pretty penny was the fact that had we bought the product brand new, we would have been looking at a stark $2,700 plus of expenses. And that's not even factoring the cost of placing the product in our house and then the cost of taxes. So it was a pretty ridiculous price. But the amount we paid ultimately, because we actually go all in on these purchases, me and my mom and our family friend, was $1,460, and the $60 was actually for installation expenses, and we saved ourselves so much money. It ultimately was around like 400 and I want to say like about $486 per person, which was a pretty good price, I would say, considering the original price was like $1,400 more expensive. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, and the pros of this washer and dryer is that since it stacks up, it does save quite a bit of space. So that's nice. Although it's a bit thick at the back, more so than we were expecting. So even though it could stack up, it ultimately was quite a chunky design, anyways, which meant that even though it did save on a bit more space, it didn't necessarily save on a whole lot more space, just a little bit, which we weren't really expecting, but I guess that comes with the territory of not really fully checking the dimensions and doing all that granular research. And one of the more annoying aspects about the installation process was even though the guys went through all the effort, it was two dudes who brought the device into our house and hooked it up. They weren't able to hook up the exhaust pipe for the dryer properly because it immediately fell when we tried it for the first time. So we went through this insane effort of like going back and forth with Google's Gemini chatbot and asking for solutions, and we ultimately came to the conclusion that apparently using um, this technique, using material such as aluminum tape, would be the best way of securing a good fit without risking flammable activity happening. Because originally my mom actually used like string, like to tie the exhaust to the back of the dryer. But when we asked Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro about it, it said probably not a good idea, that that's a fire hazard waiting to happen. So we used the aluminum tape, which should suggest an N, some metal string as well. And we were ultimately able to get it nice and secure and snug. So that's great. Finally, we are reaching a near end to the day, and from what I can recall, boy oh boy, um, it was well. It started off with getting the pretzel pizza from what was that place called again? I think it was called Little Caesars. Yeah, the pretzel pizza from Little Caesars. Which the problem with that is you need to eat it while it's hot, because if you don't eat that pretzel pizza while it's hot, it's not going to taste that great when it's cooled down, because it like gets all hard and like and just not really. It doesn't taste that good, in my opinion. So yeah, so I had to warm my slices up in the microwave, and it kind of saved it. But honestly, I, I mean, I actually wanted our family friend to pick up pizza from somewhere else, because the last time I ate that pizza, it was, I think it gave me a stomach ache. Not gonna lie. I think my body didn't agree with it, but she got it anyways. So I ate it, and she actually couldn't pick it up when it was hot and fresh because the guys delivering the washer dryer combo were parked right in front of our driveway. So that was annoying. And that's why we could get the food only when it was cold, which was a shame. Um, excuse me. Yeah, I had that pretzel combo. On top of the pretzel combo, from what I remember, I also had, what else did I have? Oh yeah, marinara sauce that I dipped in, and I think the last thing was root beer, mug root beer, another one, second one for the day. Probably not healthy to have more than one of those a day, but I like having something fuzzy with what I eat. Now, after we ate that, I chilled in my room for a while. I watched this guy, I think his name's Zachary Smeagol. Um, he made a video about eating nothing but gas station food for a month, which was interesting. Um, I like his videos because I think they're really well structured, they're well documented, they're well thought out in terms of how they're produced and edited, and they're just overall very insightful look into this guy's mind. And that's always interesting to watch, I would say. Well, afterwards, I had a nice grocery run with our family friend. And during this grocery run, we went and picked up vanilla ice cream, Tillamook brand. Tillamook makes really good ice cream, I think. I really like it. And it was mostly because of a request from my mom to get it to use with the mug root beers. But the cool thing about arriving at the store we went to was that they carried the A&W Zero Sugar, which is leagues better than the mug root beer. So we got that. And boy oh boy, was it very good. I really enjoy that root beer. But we perused around the shop. We picked up everything we could pick up. And overall, we got some tortillas, we got some hot dogs, we got the root beer already. I mentioned that. We got the ice cream. Yeah, we got all of it. We drove home. Our family friend made me a hot dog. Boiled the or cooked the hot dog, fried it on the stovetop, and threw the bun in the toaster. It was good, but when I squirted the ketchup on, it got on my shirt. So I'm not wearing the shirt I got it on. I changed shirts, and yeah, that was annoying. But after eating the hot dog, I made a root beer float with the Tillamook ice cream and the uh, mug root beer, zero sugar. And then I watched this interesting video of a guy who decided to eat nothing but YouTuber food for a week. Basically, moral of the story, really bad idea. Don't do it. Most of the time, it's just junk that's made just to expand your product portfolio, make you money off of your impressionable audiences who will take whatever you sell them because you're a famous brand. And yeah, not because you genuinely believe in the product you are selling. So, yeah, that was pretty interesting. He said like he had immense amounts of brain fog and like he couldn't really think or focus properly after a while of doing the challenge, and he said he regretted every moment of it. So, moral of the story: do not feed anyone YouTuber food. Otherwise, you are doing a disservice to their body. At least based on what that guy was saying in the video, or what it looked like. And, one sucky thing that happened during this whole process was that as I was eating that root beer float and was drinking some of it, it exploded all over my mouth and my chest, which sucked. It sucks, especially if it's like something with like enzymes in it, like with milk, because that starts to reek real fast if you don't like wash it out immediately. So I took the clothes off. I put it in the dirty hamper in the laundry room, and then I put on fresh clothes, which was frustrating because I already changed my ketchup clothes already, and then having to change clothes that was fresh out of the dryer. And I do mention I did use the dryer when it was freshly installed and the washer, and that's what this clothes is. That's where this clothes came from that experience. But yeah, overall, I would say that today was an all right day. I did watch another video about a guy doing a tier list of junk food and what is the absolute healthiest and what's like the absolute worst. All you need to know is as long as it's sugar and nothing but sugar, stay away from it. Or mostly sugar, of course, and hydrogenated oils, stay away from it. And if it's something that is just cold pressed oils that was fresh from the earth, that's something you should instead be looking towards because, that's going to take care of you and give you a good amount of nutrients. But, anyways, the day, yeah, it was an all right day. But I have to admit, I was quite grumpy. I don't know, I was just not really myself today. I was just really agitated in terms of like, being told and like again and again, I need your help, Noah. I need your help, Noah. I need your help, Noah. And, I do help. And of course I do. And I will never stop helping. But it can get exhausting. And I'm not going to lie about how it feels because that would be disingenuous. I do get exhausted sometimes when I'm told to do do some work every now and then. That like that takes a while. I mean, I wish I could say no. I did everything with a smile on my face and a jaunt in my step, but no. Today I was just in my head, and honestly, I think it's just because like maybe it's because I know I've got like a long week of work ahead of me, and I wanted to enjoy this day off, but you know, God had other plans for me, so can't really do that. But anyways, I just finished folding all of my clothes. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Um, have yourself a great rest of your day. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.